recording now. Hello everyone, my name is Timo and of the European Union of Jewish Students, and together with JDC Junction, we today have our second panel where we will highlight the amazing work that young Jews all over Europe are doing in face of this corona pandemic, being on the front lines, helping people in their communities. And really, this is a trend that we can see all over Europe. It has been young people who have taken responsibility, who are at the forefront of their community's response to Corona, who are on the ground working on humanitarian relief. And we wanted to highlight some of those people that are doing this work. And I'm super happy that we are joined today by three amazing activists from all over Europe. And we have Anna Fuhrmann from Germany. We have Tamás Horn from Hungary, and with Timo from the Netherlands. And all of them are helping in one way or another their community and on the front lines of their community's response against Corona. But before we dive into what it is that you are doing, let's maybe start with how are you doing? How are you?
I can start. I'm doing quite fine. I mean, it's a really stressful time all in all, but I think that our community responded very well to this global pandemic. And yeah.
But how are you personally doing? Everything good?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Great. Timo, what about you?
I feel very privileged to be healthy and not have lost anyone yet due to Corona, personally. And I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table, so I'm doing good. I'm very happy in that sense. Work-wise, it's been a little crazy adjusting. Having no work from one day to the other has been crazy, but with a little bit of help from the government and my family, I'm doing okay. And I think that personally, I think this time it's also nice to kind of take some time to reevaluate what you're doing and yeah, have some moments for introspection.
Great, thanks a lot. And Tamás, what about you?
You know, there are problems everywhere, but I also feel quite privileged that, you know, I have a place to live, I have something to eat, and I have work to do. So it's quite easy to, if I can be useful, it's much better. I think in general, people feel better if they have something to do. And yeah, we are trying to get over on this, and now it's okay, we are fine.
It's great to hear, and I'm very glad to hear that. Maybe you all want to give us a quick update about how the situation in your country is, because each country responds differently to Corona. So maybe let's give us a quick update on how your country is dealing with Corona. Tamás, do you want to start?
I can try. So the situation in Hungary is quite mixed, because the numbers we are representing in the news are quite low. So people can think that we are treating very well the situation and we are safe, but it's hard to be not political in this issue. You know, if we are talking about trust about the Hungarian government, it's a quite difficult something. So we cannot trust in the numbers. So I have no idea how many sick people are out there. But I definitely know the circumstances in the healthcare system and in the social welfare system. So I cannot say I'm fine and relaxed with it. So we're gonna have huge social humanitarian crisis in Hungary soon. So yes, it's hard. There are a huge cooperation in the society, and it's really good to see. There are many initiatives, and people started to be active. But you know, it's not enough without the help from the government. So let's be optimistic.
I mean, are there restrictions in place?
Sorry?
Are there restrictions in place? Like, are you not allowed to go out and stuff?
Yeah. we are quite free, but most of the people don't agree with it. So I can go out to the park every day if I want. There was no even one police who come there to check where I'm going. So we are moving quite free, but yes, there are restrictions. Officially you are allowed to go only to the supermarket, to the doctor, to the grocery, and I think you have like 1 hour outdoor activity if you want. But we are still in the middle of the crisis. So the mass, I don't know in English, sorry, the mass, where a lot of people uh, get sick is just coming from in the next weeks. So we should be more careful, and we are not in general. This is what I see.
Okay, thank you very much. Anna, how's the situation in Germany? Germany is slowly opening up, right? You're on mute, Anna.
Yes, exactly. The last weeks we had like a shutdown of all the shops and everything. People were allowed to go to the supermarket and like to pharmacies and everything, and a lot of people went like jogging and stuff. But next week, some shops which are smaller than 800 square meters are going to open, because we responded quite fast to the pandemic with like complete shutdowns, and the healthcare system was not overwhelmed as in other countries. But a lot of people are thinking that there's going to be like a second wave, and after opening some shops and after making the the legislation a little bit more easy. But on the other hand, we on Monday in the whole Germany there's going to be the duty of wearing the masks, because to this moment there haven't been any from the politicians like you didn't have to do it, but a lot of people still did it. But from Monday on, everyone who goes outside has to wear a mask.
I see. And Timo, how's the situation in the Netherlands?
The situation in the Netherlands might be a little bit similar to Germany. Last Tuesday, the Dutch government had announced that they will slowly start to loosen up the restrictions by letting young children be able to go to school with special requirements such as the 1.5 meter distance between the people, etc., etc. Maybe the Netherlands has been in the news in your countries. I don't know what you've read about the Dutch policies, but it has received criticism quite a lot. The Dutch have implemented what they refer to as an intelligent lockdown. And so it tells people how they should and shouldn't behave, so that they should keep distance, they shouldn't go outside if they don't need to, but they won't be policing the streets whether you're going to the supermarket. So you won't be asked to show a proof that you're only going to the supermarket when someone sees you outside. However, if you are with too many people outside at the same time, too close to each other, you will be able to get a fine. And so they are giving out fines. But overall, I think you see that the peak of people being hospitalized and getting sick with corona or testing positive is getting less steep. So it is kind of flattening out. But at the same time, you also hear these really horrible stories where, for example, in the Dutch Jewish old people's home in Amsterdam, Beit Shalom, there was a coronavirus outbreak, and I think more than 20 people died in a very short amount of time. So we still have to be careful, and I hope that by opening up a little bit, it won't bring back a second wave like people are talking about this in Germany. But I think overall the government is really trying to do what's best. But you do hear more and more voices of people saying how the restrictions are kind of impacting the mental health of people. People who are alone at home, but also people who are older and don't have any social contact. So I think this is also something that we should discuss more somehow.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for the quick update. Maybe before we jump into what it is that you're doing right now, just to give people a little bit of context, maybe explain to us in a nutshell on how your journey into activism went, when you became active, in what ways you were active before Corona became an issue, just so that people get a better understanding of who you are and who your organizations are.
I can start. I actually went into activism through the synagogue when I was a matricha, and I went to machanot and children camps and everything. Then I went on to be part of the project team of Baden-Württemberg, that's a region in Germany, and we organized machanot and activities for children. Then I'm going into classes of children and talking about being Jewish because a lot of children in Germany don't have the possibility to meet a Jewish person in their whole life, and all their pictures in their head are like not really up to date. And to fight prejudice, I'm going to classes. And then right now I'm in the board of the Jewish Students of Bavaria, but because of the pandemic, we can't really do events. So we're trying to do some kind of Zoom things, but our main project right now is Fire to Speak Cares to help people from the risk group.
Thanks a lot, Anna. Who wants to go next? Timo, do you want to go next?
Sure. I actually haven't been involved in Jewish life as a leader, let's say, since very recent. Or I've only recently become more active. Before that, I wasn't really organizing any Jewish events or doing Jewish events with people other than me and my family and friends. I have a background in public health. I'm finishing my PhD at the moment in public health, and decided a year ago about to start an organization called Oive, that is a Jewish organization in Amsterdam that will be a sort of a hub where anyone who's interested in Jewish culture can come and enjoy Jewish culture. And the idea is that it's a social enterprise with a bakery that's a cool and hip space, and that people can go there whether you're Jewish or not, and what type of Judaism you refer to or identify with, doesn't matter, everyone's welcome. And so I started with this idea, and as part of this project, I opened a Moishe house, or a small Moishe house called the Moishe Pod in Amsterdam, which was the first Moishe house in Amsterdam. And since June 2019, we've been running programs, and we see that it's super popular. People are loving this idea of having a space where you can just be Jewish without having to be part of only one group. So we have people from the religious community, people who are not religiously Jewish, people who are not Jewish at all, even sometimes, join our events and do stuff with us. So that's my background. And I became involved with the EUJS through the Summer U last year, which was amazing. I was one of the makers, and it was a really great Summer U, and we were planning on doing it again this year. I think it's been canceled, probably. But yeah, so that's how I know the EUJS injunction.
Yeah, this year's Summer is a touchy subject. Tamas, why don't you continue?
I've been active in the community around 10 years. Like many Hungarian Jewish people, it started with the Taglit birthright. So I just participated in educational programs. Then I was a coordinator of the Tikkun Olam program. So I just enjoyed being active in many Jewish programs. And then I founded my organization called Charity Taxi, which is a charity organization founded mostly by the JDC. It's based on many Jewish values, but its focus, it's not Jewish. Basically, we support the most disadvantaged settlements and villages in Hungary by connecting the needs with Budapest. But I'm also volunteer of Haver, Informal Educational Foundation. We go to, probably, we go to schools to talk about our Jewish identity, to break the stereotypes, the taboos, and open up the people, the children minds. So I'm still active in the Jewish community, but my focus mostly on my organization, which is not mine, but it's a huge team, fortunately, but I'm the founder. So yes, and I met Sam in the Mosaic Hub where I work. It's a co-working space, supported also by the JDC. It's a JDC program in Hungary. Yeah, I'm happy you know it, as I see it.
Great, thank you very much. And also, as I see that some more people have joined, feel free to ask your questions at any time if you're interested, and if you have any questions to these great panelists. So let's jump right into it. It would be great if all of you could give us a little bit of an update about what it is that you are doing, how you are helping your communities, and how your project goes, how it looks like, what it is that you are doing. Feel free to start, whoever wants to start. Anna, do you want to start?
Okay, I can start. After we saw that Austria did this CARES project, we just saw it on Instagram, we thought, wow, that's actually a great idea. It was really during the beginning of the pandemic, no one was like thinking about that all the shops are going to shut down and people are going to actually lose their jobs and everything. And we just wanted to do like a little project. We thought it's going to be like 1 or 2 weeks maybe. And we made a platform online so people, members of our community could type in a form like with their phone number, where they live, if they have a car or not. And after that, they got like an invitation to a WhatsApp group. And the Jewish community of Munich is in close contact with us, and all people or like people from the risk group are calling them and they're asking, okay, we need some help. And then the synagogue is contacting us and we are posting it in our group, and they're asking, okay, who lives close to that person, who is available to do like some grocery shopping or going to the pharmacy, going to the doctor's office and getting pharmacy products which are which you can only get with a receipt. Also, we have people who go to the Tafel Munich. Tafel, this is a project where people from low-income families or like elderly people who cannot afford to get grocery shopping. It's like weekly, you go there with like a pass, and I can show you. They filled out a piece of paper that, for example, I can go there for them, and I have this one from them, and then I get the groceries and bring them for food. So people who are like from low income situations, I think it's most difficult for them this time. So we're trying to support this a little bit more. And before Passover, a lot of our students volunteered and packed like Passover packages with matzah and kosher wine and everything, in cooperation with mitzvah makers and the synagogue. And then they just brought this to the elderly people. Yeah.
That's amazing to hear. How many people are involved in that effort?
We have like, I guess, around 30 people who are like actively involved, but a lot more just registered, but they're like not really in based in Munich. So, but like a little bit in the suburbs of Munich. So people who are based in Munich have like the most jobs, I would say, like because most of the people who the synagogue gives us the addresses are really located in Munich.
Are you also active outside of Munich in the rest of Bavaria or just in Munich?
And we're trying to, there's like from the Central Council of the Jews in Germany, they have like this Facebook group and they post like, oh yeah, my grandmother in this and this city needs help with something. And if it's in Bavaria, we're trying to find someone for them. But the synagogues outside of Bavaria are not contacting us. But if someone needs something, we're trying to help with this Facebook group and our members to, if they have a contact or something.
And from these volunteers that you are working with, were these all people that were already active with you before, or are there also some new people that got activated through this effort?
Yeah, actually, there are also some new people. A lot of people who are like active in the Jewish community, like the community, and they are active in like, they just engage in all the events. But a lot of people just wrote us and said, wow, that's such an amazing thing. And we could contact people who were not really engaged in this whole Jewish community at all, but who just complimented us for the effort, who said, okay, I want to get involved into this. And they actually brought their friends too. So we got like, we expanded really about this new approach of, event, I would say.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Maybe one last question. How does it work with payments? Like, how do you, if you go shopping, if you go to the drugstore for people, if you go to a pharmacy for people, like, how does that work?
So mostly it's like the old people will just like, after we find a volunteer who is close to them, I will give the phone number to them from the elderly people so they can get into contact. And then they will say, okay, I need like some apple spread or aspirin or something. And then they're going shopping. They will pay with their money in advance. And when they are at the homes of the elderly, the door stays closed. This is very important. Then they call them and they tell them, okay, it's like this and this amount of money and for the groceries. And then they put just outside of the closed door the things. The elderly people take them and give the money. They lay the money in front of the door, but it's very important to not get into contact, to direct contact with the elderly people to minimize the risk. If there is some issue and people are like from low income families and they don't have the possibility to pay for their groceries, we have some private donations and some funds so we can donate these things.
Great, thank you so much. And you actually said something where I think also this panel is so important. You said in the beginning that you were inspired after you saw what the Austrian Union was doing in Austria. And I think that's what we want to highlight with this panel. We want to bring your actions, the actions that the three of you are doing with your organizations to a wider audience so that even more people than are already involved get involved. And I think that's really the power of this European connectedness that both also JDC Junction and EUGS try to create.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to highlight that they are not in any concurrence or competition, but it's all together, and everyone who can help in his or her community can do so much to inspire other people and do like something positive out of this very tricky situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tamas, what is it that you were doing in Hungary, that you are doing in Hungary? How does that look like?
So, as most of the organizations, we have to change our activity. First, I was really shocked that what will we do, what a taxi can do if it can go. So I was very lucky because after 2 or 3 days, I get an offer from for a friend. She's doing a for-profit. She's produces sofas and other furnitures. It's a for-profit, and she had an idea that people on the front doesn't have masks. So she wanted to produce masks, and but she needed an organization, the organizational background. So it was a very fast project to come up with. And basically what we do is that we were collecting private donations, so money. And then from the money, we bought the material in the shops, or people could donate materials. We gave the materials to people who can sew, volunteers or professional sew companies. I don't know how to say it. And if the masks are ready, we take it to the front, to the social welfare system, to the healthcare system, to postmans, or just simple shopkeepers, or people who need it on the front, who has to be in contact with many people all day. So it's a not very special project, but it is special because it includes many people. And this is similar to our activity, to Charity Taxis activity, that it tried to promote social responsibility. So by now, it involves like dozens of volunteers, donors, and supported institutions. Can I try to share my screen? Just to
Sure.
show some photos. I think you have to admit it if I have to share.
I think you can share your screen now. Now it should work. I think you are admitted to share your screen.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so just a couple of pictures. It's where we took masks. It's a children department in a hospital. This is one of the sewer company who just gave us 250 masks. This is a psychiatrist department or something like that. This is another volunteer who sew like 200 masks. Yeah, so basically, yeah, they are ambulance guys. It's quite ridiculous that they didn't have masks even after the virus was all around the country. So yeah, I think you understand the point. So this is what we did in the past months. The campaign is over basically, but the volunteers are still sewing because they still need masks on the front, but the need is reducing, fortunately, but they still need it. But we are over of the campaign. So now we are trying to fundraise money for us, for the organization, because we have to survive somehow. Yeah, so this is what we did.
That sounds amazing.
Just a number. We collected 3 million forints, which is around 10,000 euros, and we will be able to take 15,000 masks to the front, because many of the institutions still don't have a real mask. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive. Thanks for sharing. Also, thanks for showing us these photos. How did you find the people that were doing the sewing? How did you find this? How did you find the people that sew the masks?
Yeah, we just did the social media campaign, like what we do all the time. There, we had a communication team, me and my colleague. She's a communication specialist, and it's just a campaign. And the people started to come as a volunteer, and we had a couple of media appearances, mostly in the radio. So yeah, it's all about social media. We didn't we didn't do any special thing. By now in Hungary, basically everybody sewing masks. All the ladies, all the grandmas. I don't know what's the situation in Europe, but here a lot of initiatives like this. It was a bit sooner than most of them, so yeah, we could be very useful in the beginning.
No, I think it's amazing. It's absolutely not normal. And how many people are involved overall in this effort?
Hard to say because I'm responsible for the campaign. I don't even know the 95% of the team, but basically I think there is like 30 people who sew the mask by now, and there is a group of 10 people who are doing the logistics, and also there are like 5 or 10 drivers who take the mask. So all together is like 50 people, I guess. But there was more than 200 donors, people who gave money. So yeah, it was a quite success.
And as far as I know, you're also active outside of big cities in the countryside and in more rural places, right?
Yeah, originally Charity Taxi goes to the little tiny villages in Hungary. We connect the need of the villages and the surplus of Budapest. So yes, we go to the end of the world, to these little villages, but right now we cannot go. There was one case when we took masks to our partner villages, to the social workers, but otherwise we don't know. We don't go now.
Great, thank you very much. Timo, maybe it would be great if you could also share with us what it is that you are doing.
Of course. Yeah, first of all, Anna and Tamas, your initiatives sound really amazing. I'm truly impressed. In Holland, we don't wear masks yet so much. Only people that work in hospitals, that work with patients, or that work in other healthcare facilities wear masks. So we don't have the need yet, maybe to maybe we also don't have the supplies. Indeed. So I'm just thinking out loud now. Maybe we should join your campaign here in Amsterdam also. I would see our response to the coronavirus in different stages. The first stage was, okay, we're in lockdown, we can't go outside. Now there are people who are either at high risk, who need help, who are vulnerable, who can't go outside, but who need someone else to help them with their groceries. And so we partnered up with the Dutch Jewish social work, the JMW. They have a huge database of people that they can reach out to. And so they identified the people who needed immediate help. So that was the first thing that we did. Maybe you heard about this, but Maccabi in the Netherlands started out this campaign where they got about 100 volunteers together to help people out with also groceries, but also with medical things, with financial things, which was really great. And the Dutch Jewish social work partnered up with them also, but also they have a couple of people who need help who live in the city center. And that is more the Moishupad Oive community that was involved in that. So we put it out online and we partnered up, I think about 15 people who are weekly helping people out with their groceries and whatever they need. The second thing that we personally did ourselves here at the Moishupad was print out posters with a little text explaining that if you need any help, if our neighbors need any help with something, because I know there are quite a lot of more vulnerable people living in my neighborhood who are older, who should not leave the house at that point. So we printed out these papers, these posters, and posted them on the walls in the buildings next to our house. And we got some response from that. And we also posted online, and we saw that other people started doing this also, which I think was pretty nice. I was very surprised and very happy to see how many people actually told us they could offer their help. Then I think in the second phase or the second stage was canceling all of the events that we were planning. So we had some cool events planned for the time ahead, such as a big Pesach celebration with about 100 people that we were planning. And so we had to cancel all these events. And so you're into the planning mode where you have to figure out, okay, how do we do this? How do we give back the money to the people? How are we going to survive financially? And those kind of things, the more practical things. So canceling all the events and figuring out how to do that. And also kind of figuring out a new way to live, because if you have children and now have your children in the house all the time, you need to find a new kind of rhythm in your household. And we saw that we initially we thought, okay, maybe we could do this big event that we had planned for and do it online, this big Pesach celebration. But because everyone wanted to prepare something for this celebration, now due to the crisis and being at home, no one felt like they had time to really put any energy or mental work into this. And so that was the second part, where we had to cancel things and then figure out a new way to live. And I think then afterwards, there's a lot of stuff that came online, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of activities, people starting to do stuff for free a lot. So you could go to yoga class every minute of the day. You could do anything you want online all the time. And this was really cool at the beginning. I think everyone's really excited to go online and like start doing yoga every day, or I don't know what your jam is. But then that soon turned over into this frenzy and feeling kind of, fear of missing out, feeling like there's too much out there, that it really makes you zoomed out and tired of all these things that are happening online. And so at the beginning it was really cool and really fun, but it soon became overwhelming, maybe, for me personally at least. And I felt that also what we did was doing virtual live sessions. We did 2 baking sessions. One was making chalot on a Friday, which was really fun. We did also a baking session for Pesach cakes, which was fun. And we felt that at some point people are a bit tired of having to attend these live Zoom events. We did have a special Zoom event with our teenagers from the BYO group in Amsterdam for the Yom HaShoah, the National Holocaust Remembrance Memorial Day in Israel. And so we invited a Holocaust survivor for a Zoom meeting and a Havdalah session together, which was really awesome. And I think if you do something where people don't necessarily have to participate in, but more passively consume, such as this panel event that's going live later, or is live now, sorry, people might be more interested indeed in joining. We do have also with Moishe Pod some events that we did online. One of them is a virtual text study that we did like a series. And so by doing a series, we hope that people would be more interested in meeting with the same group of people for 3 consecutive weeks. This was very special. Our last session is coming Monday, if you want to join us. And now we are figuring out also things that we can do that are virtual, but then are not live per se. So for example, for the Omer, we are counting the Omer through art. We are asking people if they want to contribute. You can use your creative abilities to make something, draw something, paint something, it doesn't matter. But the counting of the Omer is something very special. And so every day has a different meaning. So we're trying to engage people without having this pressure of being online all the time, but still kind of connect with each other. And yeah, we also, maybe I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but one of the things that Maccabi and the big Jewish organizations in the Netherlands did, all the religious organizations, was providing Pesach meals for people. I think they had about 1,500 Pesach meals that they were able to get for free and gave them around. And so with the Moishe Pod and Oive, we also contacted the people that we know and offered this to the people that we thought might need this, which was a really nice gesture. And now what we're doing now is mostly asking people, what do they want to do? What are the needs that you have? Do you want more online stuff? Do you want to do fun stuff, more meaningful stuff, what is it that you need? So we're trying to figure that out now because, yeah, there's so much online already that we need to really see what people actually need and want.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really, really in awe about what all of you have been doing. Anna, I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to add something because at the beginning you said that it's really hard, like mentally, like for some people, and a lot of people, especially from the elderly generation, they just want to have like this possibility that they do have a phone number which they can call, because some people, they didn't even go outside of their homes and went grocery shopping actually, but they just gave like a phone call, and the people were just like so happy that some student just called them and talked with them and asked them how their day was and everything and how we're doing. And this is something which I wanted to highlight, that it's so easy to do something meaningful and you don't even have to go outside of like everything and go over and beyond, but it's like the little things which can have like a really great impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another question, because something that all of you shared, that we also saw in our last panel, that there's an incredible surge of people that want to volunteer in all of your communities, and also in many other communities that are not represented on this panel. There have been a huge amount of people that are willing to volunteer and that are willing to help the community. Why do you think that is? Where do you think that comes from? Especially because we very often blame our generation as being uninvolved, as millennials not actually volunteering, not actually serving their community. And that really is not the impression that I get. And I don't think this is the impression that all of you got, especially in these efforts.
I wonder if it's really more people who want to volunteer, or if there are more volunteering possibilities. Because I think maybe people have always wanted to help out, but it was not as necessary or as out there or easily accessible to join like volunteer forces maybe.
I think if I can mention two things which will be it's a really positive as an impact of this whole crisis. One of this is the environmental impact, which is, I think, will be very positive for the whole Earth. Yesterday was the Earth Day, as we know, and it's not connected to the topic, but I just wanted to really mention that it's a good period for our Earth, and it's a good thing. And the other one, which you were mentioning, the social responsibility and the spread of it. I think in Hungary, I have never ever seen this kind of activism, and maybe it seems a bit more than the real word, because I'm following all the organizations and people in my circle. It's a very, very people are very overacted or over volunteering themselves, but it's a very good to see that people really started to feel something, some solidarity. And I think after the crisis, it will not lose, or maybe I'm just very naive, but if we have to mention some good impact of this whole mass, that people started to be not selfish a bit. And maybe it's because they are locked in their flats and apartments, and it's a good fun to do something, to go out and to do whatever they want, just to be useful, maybe, but doesn't matter. It's a motivation as well. So yeah, I think people, universal, are always people, and even if the system is bad and the world is not going to a good direction, people are still people, and they have the need to help, and they have the need to be in a group or in the society. So, you know, we are not born to be alone, and I think it's an original universal need that you just can't kill out from the from the human people.
Yeah, I want to maybe add on this. I completely agree. And I am now also with Oive, we had this idea of how can we now help people also in their mourning, for example, when now a lot of people are dying and the way they die is different from what we're used to. We can't often be with them when they die or afterwards be together to mourn. And how do we deal with like these next stages? How do we deal with this grief in these times? And one of the ideas that we had was doing a weekly Kaddish saying, so that we say the Kaddish with a group of people who want to say it together virtually. If anyone who's watching this is interested or can help us out with this, contact us. But I think this is also something that how are we going to deal with this grief now in the next months?
Thanks a lot. I mean, that's definitely an important topic that we all will unfortunately have to face in some way or another. Actually, something that you raised, Thomas, before leads me to my next question. Do you think there is a way of keeping all those people that are now involved, either because they haven't had volunteer opportunities before, or because the current crisis made them become active or made them activate themselves? Do you think there are ways to keep them engaged, to keep them activated? And even, I think many of those people could very much be the future leaders of their communities in a lot of cases.
Yeah, just to emphasize once again, I think if there is a kid in your community who started to do something useful now, who had the first volunteering experience now, I think in the future nobody can take it away. You know, it's a nice memory. It's not something which you can lose. And there are many people who's doing this now, and I think it's gonna shape our society in a good direction. And I don't know, maybe once again, maybe I'm naive and we'll go back to the same point where we've been, but I'm really optimistic, at least about this topic.
I agree with you. I think also before the whole crisis, we did a lot of fun events because like other events like volunteering or something didn't get so many attention and so many positive reviews. But after the crisis and after people getting like this intention of wanting to help other people, I think this will rise a lot and we will do a lot more of these events. And like challah baking with elderly people or something. I think a lot of people just like got this inside of them that they, okay, I want to help and I want to do something, and I don't think it will just go away after the whole pandemic. I think it stays somehow in the community.
Maybe as the second last question, some of you have already talked about that a little bit, but I would be interested, what was the community's reaction to your efforts? How did the community react?
We had like a lot of positive responses, not only from our members who were like, oh my God, this is great. I want to do something and you're literally giving us the opportunity to do something, but also from the synagogue itself, because they were like overwhelmed with elderly people calling them, and they're just like in shock and they are afraid and they don't know what to do. So they're just turning to the synagogue. It's, a lot of elderly people don't have a family if they live here, or like their family lives somewhere else, and then it's like really stressful. And also themselves, they're so thankful. Even if you just call them and you're just like, okay, how you're doing and everything, it gives them some kind of stability and some kind of, okay, everything will be fine, and it consoles them on a level. And of course, going grocery shopping for them, they're like so thankful. They want, after the pandemic, all the elderly people said that they want to meet the students who actually went grocery shopping for them. So we maybe thought about doing this will be Khamsa Khaswa Khalila, but like a lot in the future, doing like a little reunion or something, and actually getting to meet like the students and the elderly people in person, so they can actually see themselves and and engage and give like their gratitude in person. But we had only positive responses.
I can say the same, and I would just say one example which maybe represents the answer well. We had like 200 donors who gave money for this mask campaign, and I think the 10% was like from the Jewish community, which is a very good number, because they get used that the charity taxi is a socially active organization. You know, this is our activity, this is our mission. It's not a new thing, but they have never given so much money for our campaigns. So it was a topic which you know, it's not a Jewish topic, the mask thing. Everybody needs a mask, doesn't matter what's their origin. So it was nice to see that many active and not active members from the community donated a bit money. And yeah, so it was very positive. Yeah.
Very nice. And then what did you experience, Timo?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think it's positive. The people who are involved are very happy with it. We get good feedback. People want more. So yeah, I think it's overall it's positive. And for me, what I think is most important is to really work together with other organizations, and so try to kind of merge initiatives together to really strengthen each other and help out more people.
Great. So maybe as a last question, are there any resources that you need? Anything that is missing? Anything that you need help with?
Well, money. we are struggling. Yes, it's hard because we lost the chance to get some sources, which was planned. Like most of the organizations, I guess, we are not in a. We are very small organizations, which is very active. It might seem that we are bigger because we are very active, but we are not strong enough. So now we are struggling, but we will solve it. We always solve it, and the community is supporting us. So yeah, we will solve it. And but it's really nice that, you know, I can be here and I can talk about it, and people will know about us, and not just in Hungary, but the international Jewish community as well. Even if my organization is not a very Jewish focused something, but we are still supported very much, and it's nice. So thanks.
Thank you. Anna, more?
Yeah, I think for me also money, but it's the most obvious answer. But I think on top of money, also maybe having ideas or suggestions that things that other people are doing already that are going well, and knowing about them. So I think this panel has been really great for that, to hear more about what's happening in Germany and Hungary. And I think knowing about these different initiatives, getting inspired, but also maybe it's easier to make it bigger by joining forces rather than having to reinvent the wheel, let's say. So I think that's also something that we might need. Yeah.
I think we do have enough resources, sometimes afraid the elderly people don't actually know that they can contact us and that they can contact the synagogue and everything, and we're trying to make it like as publicly as possible, but like elderly people don't use social media or something, and if they have like nieces and they will contact us, okay, that's great, but sometimes I think, okay, is our span like so wide that we actually reach all the people who are in need of help? This would be like the only thing.
I think actually I can maybe offer some support on that immediately, because on the last panel that we had on this topic, we had activists from Bosnia and from Austria, and what they have done in both those countries is that they actually went and called all the people over 65 in their communities in the beginning to ask them if they need anything. Because you're right, it is very often the case that the people in the risk groups are not very social media savvy, don't follow the news that much, so they might not hear about these efforts. So those are two ways that activists in Bosnia and Austria have done and that have found to work for them. So that might be something that could help in that effort. But I think that really shows what Timo said, that it is absolutely crucial to also be in touch with each other and to learn and get inspired by each other. And I can just say that from my side, I am absolutely inspired. And if there is really any silver lining in this situation, it is to see all of you. And I mean the three of you, I mean all the volunteers that are working in your countries with you. But I also mean all the other young Jews that are not on this panel, that are not from your countries, that are doing very similar work to you, that are on the forefront, that are helping their community every day. And I think that's really the one silver lining that we can see in this whole situation, that it is young Jews, that it is young people that are taking leadership, that are taking responsibility, that are leading their communities. And actually, during Pesach, I started to think a little bit, and we start the Pesach Seder by a call to action. We are saying that everyone that is hungry should be fed, and that everyone that needs help should get help, because only that leads ultimately to liberation and to freedom. And I think that is very much what all of you are doing this year. All of you are providing help to those that need help. All of you are providing food to those that need to be fed. And this will ultimately lead, hopefully, so that we can celebrate Pesach next year in freedom again, in freedom from pandemic in this case. So really kudos to all of you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work. Don't forget to sleep and to get some rest. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.